So you unjoined and okay, so I unmuted you now again. Raji, yeah, Rajith.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, Rajith. Why do you think it's ethical? Like, why do you eat animals, or why do you find it ethical to eat animals?
Uh, I'm actually vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, why do you find it ethical to? Are you Hindu? Man, might have asked or no?
Yep.
Okay. Why do you find it ethical to eat eggs and or uh, drink milk or consume dairy products?
Um, I wish I could go without consuming dairy products as well as egg,
Mm-hmm.
but since they are like a good source of nutrients and like provide necessary proteins which you need.
Well,
Uh,
okay. Do you have any sources to prove that? Because I have sources to prove that you can get the essential amount of protein you need on a plant-based diet. Like,
uh,
I'm not sure about
so
your
if
living. Okay, I'm sorry. You go.
so if you have to like disavow yourself from eating milk and milk products, like you will be cutting off most of the uh, food items which you can have, like pizza or ice cream.
Yeah, to me that's not a moral issue. And also, you can technically make your own. You can technically either. Well, in some nations you can buy vegan milk or vegan cheese, but you can also make it yourself. I mean, like, I just wanted to state like the short version of my definition. I can actually state the
Mm.
long version if you want of veganism. I'm gonna put in debate text. So I can go down the longer debate version if you want to pick it apart. Veganism is a way of life that seeks to uphold value and or consideration for sentient beings above product, service, slavery, addiction, profit, pleasure. Basically, in short, I'm making the argument that I want you to shift your ethics. I understand maybe there's a circumstance where you might not have any other option to eat animal products, but I want you to have an ethical system where you wouldn't use those services and or products.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave protein as a reason onto why you consume like
Yep.
animal-based products.
I
I
would say
mean,
that is one reason, and the second is probably a convenience.
yeah, okay. So just give me one sec. I mean, if you want to, you can actually, um, when it comes down to it, I'm just gonna chill out some information here. If you want to, you can also take a look at it. Yeah, there's no serious academic organization that would argue you can't be healthy on a plant-based diet. You can't be healthy eating just plants. You know, when it comes to the subject of convenience, right? Do
Mm-hmm.
you believe convenience justifies harming something? Like,
Uh, so I don't think I'm technically killing an animal when I have milk products or dairy products.
hmm have you ever seen Farm to Fridge, or are you aware of how eggs, what they do to male chicks in the egg industry across the entire world?
Nope.
So they have two types of chickens. One primarily for
Mm-hmm.
giving birth, that's either genetically altered and or created for just the subject of giving birth, and then there's the other one, which is ones just for laying eggs. Male chicks are not advantageous for the interest of these organizations. So male chicks are actually killed because they're not they're actually not advantageous in any shape or form. So when you buy eggs, you're actually contributing to a large amount of death.
Okay, but
Like,
this, uh-huh.
so I
I
mean,
mean,
like, so there is no way around it. Like, it's not
I
economically
mean,
affordable to raise these male chicks for a lot of
but
companies that are
I'm
profitable.
sure there is a sorry. I'm sure there is a way to harvest eggs without perpetrating harm
Yeah.
on birds.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if I was to go down my longer definition, which I could go down my whole long debate definition, which I don't think you want to sit through, do you? Of veganism. Yeah,
How long is it gonna take?
it's pretty long. So I'll just say this much. Like, I'm not advocating that you can't necessarily, in a hypothetical, eat meat. If there's a dead animal on the road, that's not the same thing as going out and shooting an animal or paying somebody else to go shoot that animal. If you own, let's say, a chicken rescue, and if
Mm,
you just grab the eggs that they, because these chickens lay so many goddamn eggs, if you just grab the
mhm,
eggs that, if they're indifferent towards you grabbing it, if you just take the
mm,
eggs that, because there's so many eggs they're giving birth to, and if
mm,
you decide to eat it, I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, there's actually a few forms of Hinduism. I can't remember the specific form of Hinduism where you're only allowed to take the excess of milk from a mother, like the
mhm.
mother cow, after the baby has had its milk. Um, so in that hypothetical, if it doesn't harm the cow, I don't particularly care. So I'm not saying in hypotheticals you could not do said thing. But my problem is when people do it, I guess you could say for convenience or pleasure. Like for example, if somebody, let's say in a hypothetical, they found it convenient to eat the crap out of their, let's say in a hypothetical, somebody found it convenient to beat the crap out of their brother or their sister or something. I don't think that justifies them beating the crap out of their brother or their sister for fun. I don't think I've seen you here, Chatty Boy. Welcome. But, like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, like, when it comes down to it, you can be healthy on an omnivore diet, on a vegetarian diet, or even on a vegan diet. But when it comes down to the subject of it all, I'm actually curious. Like, I, I'm not sure how familiar you are with dairy and like the negative health side effects of dairy. Are you?
No, I don't have much information about it.
Okay, well, dairy is actually closely associated with a number of, I think, 5 different cancers or 4 different cancers, all which actually correlate with hormones. There was actually a big meta-analysis looking at other meta-analysis, so this could be hundreds to thousands of studies that was done looking at it. I can actually grab that for you. But more or less, dairy is yeah, it's not really exactly history's greatest health food, but when it comes down to like heart disease, it's also closely linked with heart disease, cancer, um, well, certain forms of cancer. Basically, there's a slight decrease in certain forms of cancer because you're getting nutrients from it, but there's certain forms of cancer wherever there was, I think what they had in common was certain types of hormones. There's actually an increase in the amount of cancer for people consuming dairy.
Is this like
uh,
only from dairy farms or is this like natural?
this is a meta-analysis, so no, I don't think this is necessarily from dairy farms. This is from people consuming dairy. This was like a meta-analysis looking over multiple different meta-analysis. Now I'm trying to look for it. Okay, here we go. I think I found it. Rolling around for it. It's also highly addictive. It has a substance that's very similar to opioids. Um, I think particularly among women, there was actually an increase in. So it's also debated if actually milk helps with your bones because of the fact that one sec. I think I just grabbed the link for you. I can actually I'll DM you that link. So when it comes to milk,
Hmm.
okay, so I think was this it? Yeah. Okay. So with milk, basically, there's actually a number of studies where it's actually there's conflicting evidence to suggest that milk actually helps your bones in general. There's a higher
Hmm.
rate of in like this one study where they looked at thousands of different people across a cohort. They found evidence to suggest that dairy actually increases the amount of bone fractures. I'm just scrolling. Oh, is this it? Yes, here we go. Okay, yeah, so I think here we go. I found the study I was talking about, the one with cancer. So if you actually
Mhm.
just scroll down, so like for anyone who wants to look, you can actually just scroll down and you can actually find an actual picture that actually shows you the you just scroll down to open access. There's actually a picture that will show you like the increase and decrease in cancer. But for the majority of cancers, there wasn't much of an increase. For a few different cancers, there was a decrease, but for certain types of cancers, there was an increase. They found wherever there was an increase, there was a particular certain type of hormone. This was a meta-analysis looking over tons of different studies. I think it's also peer-reviewed, so systematic review. Okay, result from 9,693. Oh yeah, do you know what meta-analysis means?
Uh, is it like the consolidated analysis of the previous ones?
So basically, yeah. So meta-analysis or systematic review means basically that you're looking over multiple different studies on a subject. It's been a while since I've read over these studies. Forgive me, it's been fucking months. Cap. So cap on what? I'm actually putting Chad boy. If you want to, I'll at you. So yeah, there's increased as well when it comes to actually. So when it comes to actually like heart disease, there's actually a number of different studies showing increased rates of heart disease, cancer among people who consume dairy. Um, there's conflicting evidence with bone fractures. Yeah, I mean, like, that's up to you, man. If you like, you can just take a look, Chatty. Like, I'm not forcing you to do anything. You just take a look at the. I'm sharing all the information that I'm talking about. But yo, Wrath, if you want, Raj, if you want to, I'm actually curious. Do you have any other reasons to consume dairy or to drink milk? Because it is a fact that actually, even better than that, I could stream you the video.
But the thing is, humans have been drinking milk like for like uh, probably 3,000 years since they domesticated animals. So it's been like proven by history that it isn't as harmful as we think.
I mean, yeah, define harmful because like for a mother cow, like cows form deep bonds with their calves. In fact, I have a
Hmm.
whole psychological paper on that if you want to read it. So basically, they form deep bonds with their children. So when humans breed these cows and then take away their children so we can gather their milk, that's incredibly stressful for these cows, emotionally stressful.
When you take a calf away from its mum, what is that process like?
Cut.
Like imagine if we bred humans and we essentially we bred humans to have babies as quickly as possible over thousands of
Hmm.
years, and then after having a baby we take away their child and it causes them other stress over and over and over again. You Mother cows will actually scream out for their children. Do you think that is would you say that's that's not harming a cow? I think that's factually false what you said. Like what they go through harms them, and then on top of that, like putting baby chicks into a blender or bashing them alive or suffocating them, like male chicks, because they're not profitable. I'd say that's harming them.
Yeah, I would agree with the second point, but with the first point, I think there. I mean, that's probably something to do with how milk is obtained. There probably could be like more humane ways to get
Yeah.
milk from cows.
Okay, then I have to ask you that question. Like, are you even going to do that? Because I think anyone can say, well, there's more humane ways to eat meat. There are. You could be a freegan. There's people who will literally go out of their way, eat dead animals on the side of the road. Yet the vast majority of people who eat meat don't do that. I mean, like I have
I
to
don't
ask.
think that's healthy though.
Well, do you think it's healthy to eat animal products that are raised on antibiotics? I
No.
mean, like not. I'm not sure if your nation they do that, but in a lot of nations, in a lot of places around the world, animals are raised on antibiotics.
Right, right.
Like, if you don't believe me, Like, you can just type in mother cow cries for their baby, and there's like tons of shit on the internet you can find. So let's go into wait, text. One sec. Like, obviously, you're probably not gonna read all this, but heck, at least I'm providing you with examples, so I'm not just pulling shit out of my ass. You have like it. So when it comes down to the subject, like, are you willing to make that shift? Like, to not actually go out of your way to buy animal-based products and instead to try and get it in a more ethical manner? Like, if you want eggs, would you be willing to have like an animal sanctuary?
So if it's like on the supermarket, I would probably shift.
Yeah, but that's
But
just
if
it.
I have to,
Yeah, but
if I have to, sorry.
it's not humanly possible for like it's not practical. It's not practical. Like, you don't have cows, fucking dead cows found on the side of the road being sold in the supermarket. You don't have baby chicks that you don't have eggs that were from mothers that just didn't care about their eggs being taken. At the end of their life, of these chickens are going to be killed and slaughtered. So I mean, like, what other good reason do you have to consume these products? Do you have any? Yeah, but like, is there any other good reason to?
Nutrition. Yeah.
But I already showed you that there's lots of negative health correlations with dairy. Like, honestly, in general, dairy was never meant for human beings. It was meant for a mother cow, so it's not really natural to our body. And also, you mentioned that humans have been drinking dairy for a long period of time. That's actually not entirely true. There's a lot of tribes that actually don't have as strong of an immune system to dairy. It's mostly Europeans that have a much stronger immune system. Like, they're more likely to actually digest it. A strong portion of Asians, like it's 90 something percent of Asians, 90% of Africans don't have they're lactose intolerant. So I mean, like, when it comes to the subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also dairy has a lot of saturated fat, which is highly correlated with heart disease. In fact, most doctors would argue that, at least from what I understand right now, talking to nutritionists, that saturated fat is highly correlated with heart disease.
But I guess you can offset that risk of heart disease by exercise.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. Yeah, but you can't offset. Like, so for example, if I'm downing, let's say, a lot of cholesterol, and your body makes its own cholesterol, so your body doesn't need cholesterol from, let's say, any other form of, like, your body doesn't need cholesterol from animal products. It's just an excess cholesterol. It's actually not good for you. So, like, when we're talking about dairy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like me saying, if I eat shit all day, it's, an amount of exercise will make it better. Like, yeah, an amount of exercise can reduce heart disease, but I'm saying the nutrient itself isn't inherently good for you. So when it comes to dairy, like, out of all the animal-based products, it's really red meat and dairy that are actually considered to be the two worst animal-based products you can actually buy.
How do athletes how do people build muscle mass without like dairy products?
Rice and beans. So basically, you
I
want to
don't think
combine.
that helps.
Yes, it does actually. So okay, so do you want me to? I can actually show you like what I would eat if I wanted to make gains. Do you want me to actually pull that up and I can show you?
Sure.
Okay, so one sec. So basically, you want to combine rice and beans. You can also combine like other plant-based products if you have that in your area. If you don't, there's a number of things you can combine. 1 second. So I'm going to need to pull up chronometer, and I'll take a screenshot. So basically, let's say, do you know how protein works? Like the amino acids. Do you know how it works basically?
No.
Okay,
Can you tell
so
me?
yeah. Basically, this is what I'm eating in like a caloric deficit. So this means I'm eating less. If I wanted to, I could hit a much higher goal. And keep in mind, like, I'm a relatively lean guy. Like, I'm 100 right now. I'm about 120, and I think I have like the 6-pack abs are coming in. Well, I'm actually over 120, but so on the subject of it, when it comes to, and for the record, Chatty Boy, when it comes to human babies drinking milk, I don't have sufficient data on that, so I can't actually comment. But I don't know. You'd have to get. I could get a nutritionist in contact with you or a doctor if you want to, if you're curious. T303 in here is a nutritionist. So this is like the protein that I'd get, let's say, in a day. And I'm gonna pull up, let's say, some of the stuff I eat. And I can change this around, so I can make it a whole foods plant-based diet if I want to. This is not whole foods. I mean, like, I eat some like vegan meats in here, which you might not have where you are. Because what nation are you from?
Originally from India, but right now I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, so you live in the United States. Okay, so yeah, there'd be options where you live. You like Atlanta? On an off subject.
Yeah, I love the weather.
So yeah, when it comes down to the subject, like each product that I'd eat would have different amino acids. So for example, if you look at the first one, do you see the first picture I sent you? The one that has like the different amino acid profiles?
Yep.
So yeah, that was so the one that says lysine, that's actually for that's actually you primarily get that from chickpeas, tofu. You can get that from a little bit of everything, but I get the majority of mine from like beans, so chickpeas, tofus. So where do I get my what was it? So like, and then on top of that, so like, but rice and beans generally lacks casein. So I get a lot of my casein from rice. Tofu has a good amount of rice, soy milk, bread, broccoli. So it's basically what you want to do is you want to combine different proteins, and that's how you actually create a complete protein source. Like, have you ever heard of, say, Scott Bernhard or
Nope.
Patrick? Okay, yeah. So this guy is a vegan and he's a full bodybuilder. Scott Bernhard. Yeah, you can actually be vegan and still be healthy on protein. It's like, yeah, there's no medical institution that would argue otherwise. Like, do you enjoy documentaries by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, well, there was a documentary called The Game Changers, and it actually featured lots of famous athletes and like Olympians that are vegan as well. Like, have you ever heard of Nate Diaz?
The UFC fighter.
Yeah, he's when he trains for fights, he's actually completely plant-based.
Really?
I would say Chatty Boy, depends on how you Chatty Boy asked me a question, and I'll answer it real quick here. So basically, if I had to say like and yeah, watch The Game Changers, it's a good movie. So is meat bad? I would say in a lot of ways yes, in the sense that it's correlated with bad things. Has meat been proven to be bad for you? No. However, here's a problem. It's like, is eating meat once a week the most ideal diet? Scientists can't answer that, but what they can say is meat is definitely not that great for you, and the worst ones are dairy and red meat. But downline from that, white meat and fish is more debatable. The only study where I've ever seen somebody who eats meat do better than a vegan is this one study with a pescatarian where they did slightly better, but they were actually about the same. Omnivores were the worst. I don't have this on hand. Omnivores were the worst. Vegetarians were second. Vegetarians and plant-based, and then vegans were and pescatarians were almost the exact same. And this was a randomized control trial, so this means they were comparing apples to apples, so there weren't smokers and shit. But in general, like, generally speaking, that is the only study I've ever seen where someone who eats meat does better than a vegan. That is it. I've never seen anything else. And like, I can say that confident. Like, I think a lot of vegans wouldn't even admit that to you. I can say this confidently, and I think that's a testimony that you can still be healthy on a plant-based diet. And I don't see that as a knock against veganism. So like I'm trying to answer this, Chatty Boy, to you in like the most intellectually honest way possible. And if you want to, you can read some more about like non meat based diets doing well. I guess I could actually just personally DM it to Chatty Boy. Yeah, vegans on average and vegetarians, they tend to do pretty well health wise. But yeah, when you look at dairy itself, it's not really debatable. It's not really good for you. It's more debatable if your body has a good lactose tolerance. That's more academically debatable. But in general, most academics, most nutritionists I'm aware of, they don't consider dairy to be a health food anymore. In fact, in Canada took dairy off the recommended food guide. Some other nations are probably going to follow. It's like on the subject too, right? I have to ask you, like, why not? Because your name is Reggie, yeah?
Rajat, yeah.
Yeah, like, why not consider just trying going vegan for a little while? Because I think you're pretty sympathetic towards it, because like you don't want to kill animals, right?
Yeah, I was actually on. I used to eat meat, but I gave up when I was like, I would say of 10.
Why did you give up meat?
It's yeah, like it's about animal cruelty.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Oh yeah, also to answer your question, Chatty Boy, vegans also have lower rates of inflammation. Um, it's not really okay, but it's hard to get protein eating non-dairy and meat. No, it's actually really fucking easy once you learn it. So like, it's hard if you don't know what you're doing. But if you want to go vegan, I can
But the
help.
thing is, sorry, go on.
No, I was responding to Chat. Actually, no, it's pretty much our talk, so it's rude of me to be talking to Chatty Boy, if anything. Yeah, say what you want to say. I guess I can finish up, Chatty Boy. If you want help being vegan, I can help you, and I can even help make you a meal plan for free. Like some people will charge you for that. I'll like yeah. So if you want to, I'll sit down with you, and I'll actually help you figure out exactly how many calories you're getting, exactly how much nutrients you're getting. Like, let's be real here. You probably don't even track your protein or your vitamins, and I can help you get your vitamins, your vitamins, your omega threes, everything. I mean, actually, from what I hear, people that go vegan when they're children, they're less likely to have acne because there's less saturated fat. So, if anything, I think on average they tend to look better with better skin. But that's just what people tell me when they've gone vegan. So, like I've talked to people who went vegan and their acne went away. When I went vegan, my acne started to decrease. So if you're asking me, Chatty Boy, if vegans look better, I'd say yes, but I mean, like I don't know. Yo, Rajeth, what were we saying? Rajeth 95.
Yeah, so I would say that like if you go vegan, like your food choices are like restricted severely because you need to like forego like almost 99% of uh
Okay.
uh
hmm
yeah.
Okay, so let's say in a hypothetical, so your justification for eating it is restrictions, right? So if you lived, I mean, I could say the same thing about meat. You do restrict yourself when you don't eat meat, but why did you choose not to eat meat?
Mm,
There was a part of you that thought it was, if I had to take a guess, was there a part of you that thought it was morally wrong?
yep.
Okay, so it didn't matter whether it was restrictive. You did it because it was morally righteous not to do so. It was morally
See,
wrong.
yeah, it was morally wrong, but the thing is, like the culture from where I come from,
hmm
uh, there's like a lot of vegetarian dishes, so you can still you can live a good life as a vegetarian.
hmm
But
You can
if
live.
I have to like if I have to like forego milk and eggs and other milk products, I don't know what I'll be left eating.
I mean, it wasn't easy for me. My family mostly eats milk, eggs, and all these other things. Like throughout the history of man, because you brought up tradition, so like in their tradition, there's a lot of these dishes. So like, there's a lot of traditions that are bad. Can we agree on that?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, there's traditions of racism, there's tradition of sexism. Just because, let's say, this is traditionally normal and you're foregoing something, I don't think that's, I don't think that's a good reason to do something. Like, just because it's traditionally normal or it's traditionally easy. Like, when you really think about it, throughout history, when it comes to doing the right thing, especially if you don't go to jail and if it's legal to do so. If it's legal to do so, and if you can do it, like, still, quite often, doing the right thing isn't always easy. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways, I'd say this is very easy. You can still make these same dishes, but vegan. It just requires maybe a little bit of effort or a little bit of thinking outside the box. But for most people, what they just do is they Google up how to make this vegan, and it's quite easy. I,
Okay.
I mean, like, dude, do you think it's difficult for everyone who goes vegan because their family pressures them to go, to eat meat, whatever. And sometimes you can convince your family members to go vegan too.
Uh, so like
Oh yeah, I may as well give you guys the. So this is actually where I have all my data. Oh, I'm sorry, you were saying something. Anyways, I actually have a whole archive with all this information.
mhm,
I'm gonna just put the archive in the debate text. So actually, if you are tired of all these links, you can just go to my archive, and there's literally all the information's in there.
sure.
But the other thing too I wanted to mention was there's something else. You mentioned tradition, but you also mentioned tradition. You also mentioned something else before that. I can't remember exactly.
Uh,
No, I can't remember what you said.
I,
Anyways, moving
I
forward. Moving
yeah, I
forward.
said you'll be like you wouldn't be able to like eat 90% of uh the food.
I mean, in a hypothetical, let's say if there was some guy from Saudi Arabia, I think I remember, or like from a country where domestic violence to your spouse is legal and rape to your spouse is legal, and this guy,
Mhm.
let's say in this hypothetical, or he lives in a nation where if he does the right thing, a lot of restaurants won't let him in. Even better, like let's say a guy in the let's say in the 1980s or 1990s, so 1990-10, he's friends with a lot of black people, and because of it, a lot of restaurants don't want to serve him. Like, would you respect him more if he didn't want to be friends with people because of their race, just because it restricted the places that he could eat? I guess what I'm trying to say here is, do you really find that respectable? Like, if someone knew something was morally right, and if they
Mhm.
decided not to do it, they decided to give it up because it was just less convenient for them.
You're right.
An even easier way to put it is like, let's hypothetically say there were human beings dumber than cows, and let's say we decided to make dairy products out of human milk. So these human
Damn.
beings were genetically altered to be dumber than cows, and let's just say we even made it so they actually feel less pain. You know, if you actually had to watch a mother constantly cry or constantly get upset about her baby leaving, even if it was
Mhm.
less than a cow, if you had to watch a mother go through that, like imagine someone who's mentally disabled worse than to the point where they're less intelligent than a cow. Do you think you would actually respect the person who was paying for that product, knowing what's happening?
So if there's like a human who's not as intelligent as a cow,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
I'll, I'll, I'll,
does
re- I'll
is that
reframe
human a human?
I'll reframe that to make it easier. So wait, is that so? You don't consider someone human if they're mentally disabled, like really mentally disabled?
Oh, if they're meant okay. No, yeah, they're still human.
Okay, so if I took, let's say, because this is all about the question of personhood, like who do we give moral consideration to? And I think we should give moral consideration to animals, that especially animals that in our community. So let's say in a hypothetical, there's a human being, dumber than a
Hmm.
cow. It's constantly forcibly bred, raped, and this human gives birth to children who are genetically altered to the point where they're dumber than a cow. If this human, let's say, and its milk is extracted and the baby cow is taken away, and quite often the baby cow is killed. So let's say hypothetically somebody didn't, and at the end of this woman, sorry, I said baby cow, the mentally disabled baby boy. At the end of their life, this woman who gave birth to a bunch of babies is killed for meat. Would you respect somebody who gives money to that industry for the milk, but they don't buy the meat because they think killing is wrong?
Uh,
Like, if you had to watch this stuff, would you still respect someone who would do that? Do you think you'd find it moral? Like,
that's correct.
what's correct? Or, like, what is correct? Like, you shouldn't drink milk? That's correct.
Yeah, but you're conflating humans with cows.
Yeah, I am, just for a second, because I'm saying, like, yeah, I am for a second, because I'm saying if we put a human being in that situation where they were less intelligent and less able to feel pain, so there's less reasons to care, because they suffer less, but they still suffer. Like, would you really respect someone for doing that? Is really the question. For supporting, and keep in mind, like, I'm not saying human value is the same as a cow, but like when you went vegetarian, like you thought killing is wrong, right?
Right.
I mean, like, if you killed humans on a daily basis, there's a very low chance you would have cared about killing an animal. Like, I think we all compare humans to animals sometimes. I'm not saying the human has the same worth. I just think these animals' worth should be more than your taste buds. Like, for example, let's say hypothetically we had this guy who eats vegan for 5 years straight. Then once every 5 years, he decides to rape the shit out of a dog. Like, he rapes it up the ass. Like, uh, what would you tell that? Would you respect that person, even if he caused less animal suffering than what you cause? I think actually I know somebody named Nick Lyston. I think he said the average human that consumes eggs contributes to like hundreds of thousands of chicks dying a year. Like, there's an actual statistic on that, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm saying, like, if there was some guy who raped a dog for pleasure once every 5 years, and he actually contributed less to animal suffering than you do, would you respect that guy? Oh, Fatty Boy left.
Um,
Yeah, it's a hard question because, like, you let's be real here. You would find that fucked up. You would not support that, right?
right.
So I'm just asking you, like, why not consider making the shift? Because over time, it actually gets easier to be vegan. Believe it or not. Like, Luna's here. Luna, can you unmute yourself? Like, can you agree with me? It gets easier over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was probably difficult at first, but over time it got easy, right?
Yeah.
So why not just
I mean,
yeah? Why not just consider trying to, like, slowly remove dairy products, or just consider trying it out for a bit?
see, there's not like a distinct vegan culture which is as diversified as uh, vegetarian or meat-based foods.
Pardon me?
So if you're like eating vegetarian food, there's like a lot of variety, and uh like you can go about your day like without worrying much.
I mean,
But if you like shift to vegan food, there's like only a certain amount of dishes you can make. Uh,
I think it would get easier because over time you learn new dishes to make. So, and then on top of that, here's another thing too. We also talked about convenience. You agreed with me. Convenience isn't a good reason morally to do something. But even better than that is, I'm actually like, even more important than that. Like, you think killing is wrong, right? Would you? Do you like? I'm actually curious. When it comes down to the subject of veganism, have you heard the other? When it comes down to, wouldn't it mean something to you? Look at your nieces, your nephews, your future kids, and to maybe tell them that you did the right thing, or to look at them and tell them murder is wrong and rape is wrong, or sexually abusing an animal is wrong. If you, no matter what, killing an animal is wrong no matter what if you don't have to. Wouldn't that mean something to you to look at them in the eye and just say that? Like my nieces, my nephews, they don't understand why I'm vegan, but yet, I guess you say something that drives me to do it is the fact that I could look them in the eyes and I could say that. I think somewhere deep down you can't. Yo, Rajeth, you there?
yep.
I guess I wouldn't mind giving you the other reasons why I should go vegan. Slaughterhouse workers are more statistically, they're correlated with higher rates of violent crime, sexual crime. I can go into studies about that. Where we see humans harming animals, we see higher rates of mental health issues. It's one of the first signs of a serial killer, antisocial personality disorder. 80% of the world, according to Oxford, there's different estimates. 80% of the world's land creates 20% of the world's food. And 80% of the world's crops, like land for crops, creates, 20% of the world's land is used for crops. It creates 80% of food. So 80% of the world's food for animal agriculture. So 80% of the world's food that's estimated by Oxford is for animal agriculture, creates 20% of the food. So some vegan studies will claim that we could end world hunger if we went vegan. I'm not convinced on that, but what is a fact is it would internationally deflate the cost of food. So it would make it easier for people in third world nations to eat if the world went vegan. It requires less energy, less water, less energy, less water, less land to create plant-based meats. These products are only cheap in the first world and sometimes even in third world because governments subsidize them. So by going plant-based, you would also reduce human suffering as well. Like if you had to watch a slaughterhouse worker beat or rape his wife, or commit a, let me change that. If you had to watch a slaughterhouse worker suffer from PTSD, because they do suffer from that, or watch them suffer from an umbrella term, it's called doubling. It was actually coined by a Nazi doctor. It's when you bring home someone different than what you go to work, commit an atrocity. So the same psychological problems we witnessed in the Holocaust, in Nazi Germany, we see with slaughterhouse workers. So if you had to watch a slaughterhouse worker commit a violent crime or a sexual crime or suffer from PTSD or doubling, if you had to watch them suffer mentally or commit one of those acts, do you think you'd still be able to buy milk or buy eggs, or do you think you'd still be able to go get that milk?
But what does a slaughterhouse worker got to do with milk?
Oh no, they're like the people working in farms. Who do you think makes your milk for you? They're farmers. Like you had to watch someone who had to do that for a living.
Yeah, I don't support eating meat.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, who do you think? Unless an industry has separate parts of their business, you still have
Yeah,
that problem. But then there's also a second.
but that's for like the government to intervene.
Okay, yeah, but I'd make the argument that the government can't, because I'd make the argument that inherently, like, there's a human-animal empathy link. So when it comes to children harming animals, if it's more likely to fuck them up, I have little reason to believe that harming an animal, getting paid to harm an animal, would not fuck someone up mentally. And I know there are two different situations, and is there a possibility I'm wrong? Yes, but I highly doubt that, especially from my own experience farming animals. I used to kill crabs. I used to kill seafood in kitchens. I could tell, I could feel it deep down. It was making me more cruel. Or deep down. But I enjoyed it.
Right.
But I didn't give a shit at the time. I enjoyed it, but I could tell there was something wrong with it. I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this forever, but this is a lot of fun. I wouldn't do it now, but yeah, I mean,
Right.
honestly, when it comes down to it, but still, I'm just saying, why not just give it a try? Like there's an overwhelming amount of reasons to benefit humans, to benefit animals. I'm making the argument that if we don't harm animals, it in turn will help humans. Going vegan is basically best for all sentient beings on the earth. Also, eating animal-based products are terrible for the environment in general. You there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah,
Uh,
so why not just consider going plant-based, maybe for a week, a day, a month? You just try it for maybe 22 days, because I think it takes 22 days to break a habit. And just see if you like it.
I'm skeptical of whether it brings the same health benefits. And
I mean, I can tell you, so I can give you my testimony. So like, I actually suffer from inflammation issues. I have some issues in my feet. So like sometimes I have inflammation in my feet from injuries. So there's like some joint damage. When I went vegan, my inflammation drastically went down. I may have sent that to Chatty Boy. So yeah, so here's the actual study. Nature's actually a peer review website, so that means people check it. So this information has been checked by other scientists. So this isn't, so Nature is decently trustable. Actually, it's one of the, Nature and Science are actually the most prestigious peer review websites. There's professors in Harvard and Oxford that struggle to get their works published in Nature. So overall, being on a plant-based diet is actually better for reducing inflammation. It's correlated. Now, correlation doesn't prove causation, but on average, people who are plant-based tend to have lower inflammation. Although cutting out junk food is probably the best thing. But yeah, even when I was vegan and I had junk food, the inflammation was still less than when I ate meat. But when it comes to that documentary I sent you called The Game Changers, you should give it a watch. Like Scott Bernhard talks about his experience when he went vegan. He actually had reduced inflammation in his wrist, and he actually he got back the use of his wrist, and he had issues with it, and he had issues for 8 months, and it took him a short period of time, and he went back to normal. Now he's a bodybuilder. Personally, for me, like my performance in the gym drastically increased, my energy drastically increased. So like when it comes down to like the effects of a plant-based diet, you can actually look at some of the studies I send you. You can also just watch that documentary.
right.
Yeah, I think like ultimately when it comes down to it, like if veganism is just as healthy as vegetarianism or healthier, like would you potentially maybe just consider giving it a shot?
Uh, I'm still like afflicted or addicted to certain dairy products.
You're a part of me?
I still I'm addicted to certain dairy products like coffee.
Wait, coffee's not dairy.
Yeah, but it like
Oh,
the
like
one which has
coffee.
milk.
Okay, yeah. So there's actually I was addicted to dairy. In fact, I was so addicted I almost knocked someone out just to have a piece of cheese pizza one time. So one sec. So yeah, when it comes to dairy, There's actually a chemical in dairy that's actually very similar to opioids.
Mm-hmm.
So no, what you're experiencing is not uncommon. It's actually pretty normal. But I think you can defeat that addiction. So, like, have you tried giving up dairy in the past? Is that why you're saying that?
I haven't actively tried, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's a chemical in dairy that's very similar to an opioid. So I could, it's basically kind of like the crack of it's a crack of like animal agriculture, but when it comes down to the subject, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
assuming you've probably seen slaughterhouse footage, right? Or no?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you're aware of the damages animal agriculture has, but I mean, ultimately, I think doing the moral thing does matter to you. Like, at the end of your life, when they write something in your gravestone, imagine if they were to write what you did morally. Like, for example, imagine if they wrote down on your gravestone, like, you know, here's this guy, he lived from this time to this time, and he did what he believed in. Or imagine if the people you knew knew that you actually did what you thought was right. You think this is morally right, and yet you weren't willing to at least try to give it up, or at least continue to try. Is that something you want to be remembered for? Is that something you'd want written on your gravestone? Like, you got one chance to live, right?
Uh, Frankly, I don't think it would matter because I'd be dead.
Yeah, but is that really how you want to live your life? What about the people that remembered you? Your nieces, your nephews? Is that how you want to be remembered? It doesn't matter because I was dead? I'm actually curious if you like if somebody, let's say, justified beating up their wife or something, or they justified stealing, and if their justification was, well, one day I'll be dead and it won't matter. Like, I don't think you'd respect that person. But honestly, I think that example to you is maybe becoming numb. I think an even better way to say it is, I get it, like you don't care when you die, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, why not be somebody who actually does what they believe in? Because I know you believe that killing an animal for pleasure is wrong. And I know you have the same ethics, it's just you're addicted to dairy. And even if you fail at going vegan, why not continue to try? You know? You could try to slowly decrease the amount of dairy you eat. Or you could just go cold turkey. Yo, Rajeth, why not just try it?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, you think maybe you'll try? So, do you think you can? Do you think you'll try to actually slowly give up dairy?
I can try like vegan for like 1 or 2 days and see how it goes.
I guess I'll keep trying with you. Come by here. We don't always talk about veganism. You can just come by here and hang out. But I actually made dinner, and I didn't eat my dinner. I was just talking to you. But to me, this is more important.
What did you make, by the way?
Vegan pizza. There's a vegan pizza place. I made some rice with some garlic, green onions, and ginger fried rice, and some black beans, green peas, some vegan meat, and green onions with some mint, Greek spice, and basil.
Not bad. That sounds
Oh
that
no,
sounds tasty.
believe me when I say this. If you want to go vegan, I can help you make some fucking great food. Like, if you have like Japanese tofu teriyaki don, I can tell you how to make it with like a low amount of calories. You just add a lot of broccoli with some extra firm tofu.
Hmm.
You make some like short grain rice, but the trick is a lot of broccoli. Then you use a lot of soy sauce, but the trick is you put in ginger and garlic and the soy sauce will taste exactly like teriyaki sauce, but it'll be less sweet, so it'll actually be healthier for you. And then what you also do is you add lettuce in at the very fucking end, like just to slightly warm it up. Chopped up lettuce, and it tastes fucking amazing on short grain Japanese rice. I make some smashing pasta and vegan Mexican as well. Yeah, there's a few dishes I make. Like, there's realistically about 4 main dishes I make, and I just, because I'm in a caloric deficit right now, and I have been, except for like the last week. This weekend I've been kind of depressed, so I just said fuck it. I'm just gonna have fun. But yeah, if you want to learn how to make good vegan food, there's a number of people in here that can help you.
Right, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but Rajeth, oh yeah, also, there's someone in here named T303 who's a nutritionist. If you want to, he can actually go through the nutrition aspect with you better than I can.
Okay.
Yeah, what does he call himself now? It's T3. Yeah, just T3. You can at T3 in here. You can ask him any questions about nutrition. Do you have any questions?
Not specifically, but I want to know about like few good vegan dishes.
Oh, you want some recipes for them?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want me to tell you? What are you interested in? Japanese vegan, Mexican vegan, or my vegan pasta?
Vegan pasta.
Okay, do you want it to be whole food? So like, or are you fine with eating like plant-based meats? Like vegan meat?
No, I don't like plant-based meats.
Oh, you actually don't like the taste of it?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, so I'll remove that and I'll make you a meal. How tall are you? How much do you weigh approximately?
I'm 5'11". I weigh, I guess, 80. Sorry, 160.
So weight, so we'll add one. Are you overweight or, I hate to ask this, are you overweight or healthy?
Uh, Probably a bit overweight, but not that much.
Okay, so 5'11" inches. Alright, so, I think I'm gonna get going now. But yeah, I enjoyed this talk, so
Sure. Yeah, it's been a good talk,
yeah,
and you've given me some food for thought.
yeah. But I guess if anything I have to ask before we go, I mean, like, in a hypothetical, I'm just curious, like, well, maybe not, no, that's pointless to ask that. I guess if anything, like, what are the reasons why you've been vegetarian? Was there anything else?
So initially, like, I'd been to like a chicken slaughter uh place, and they had like all these birds in cages, which they used to like take it, cut its neck, and I saw like the hens were like uh making noise.
Hmm.
Yeah, like loudly.
Yeah, okay.
And after that, I did like read some articles by some animal activists.
Yeah, what was it? If you actually look at farm to fridge, so if you
Hmm.
go to the point of the video where you can actually see like the baby chicks being like blended up. Pretty terrible. Uh, but it's like between the point of like 2 minutes and like, so it's between the point of like 2 minutes and like 20 seconds to like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Basically 2 minutes around, yeah, so I'll just put that in there. Anyways, I gotta go.
All
But
right, yeah, it's been great talking to you.
yeah, come by here, hang out sometime. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Yeah, sure. So, what other topics do you talk about, if I may ask?
Well, mainly veganism, but if you want to have other debates here, such as abortion or like really anything, I'll be game. But if anything, I was thinking about doing mock debates in the future. So like actually, so like taking a proposition and trying to debate it for practice, not really seriously. So that's actually like sort of it's a rhetoric practice, I guess you could say. Anyways,
Okay.
so yeah, on the subject, I'll send you my recipe for my vegan pasta, and
Do you
also
know?
I'll build
Okay. Do you
you
know
a
like?
meal plan. I'll build you a meal plan as well, and yeah, I'll basically write you how to basically eat vegan for a day. Yeah, what were you saying?
Sure, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know like any server where they talk about like the paranormal stuff?
No, but if no, not really. Anyways, Rajeth, I'll talk with you later, okay? Have a good night.
Sure, man.